Hey, what's up, hardheads? Welcome back to my channel. And today I got Grae and brother Ghoulish with me today to talk about Lovecraft Country, episode 4, a violence in history, right? Of history.
Of history.
Of
Oh, wait.
history.
A history of violence.
In history of violence. History of violence. What I'm talking about. See, I'm all getting mixed up.
And I'm going right along with it.
I'm just like,
Yep.
Yes. A history of violence. There we go. Thank you, Greg. So yeah, we're here to talk about that episode real quick. But before we get started, I want to know what you guys thought about the last episode. A quick recap of last episode. What did you guys think about that one? Well, Greg, I go Greg.
All right, so if you guys listen to Kill Dead podcast, I was in the very, very, very beginning a little weary of if we got like a spectacular first episode and the show could possibly fizzle or something. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I wasn't exactly sold yet, and I'll own it. Right now, as of Holy Ghost, yes, I'm 100% in. I love this show, and it gave me so many things. I feel like it's more anthological, if that is even a word, per episode.
Okay.
So, like, the Holy Ghost episode is definitely more of The Exorcist, and it's great to see our faces in that type of role, and it doesn't have to be us being the necessary villain. So I thought that was awesome. I've watched episode 3 at least 3 times now.
So did I. I loved it. What about you, Ryan?
I loved it too. It's my favorite so far out of the ones that have come out. And it even had one of my favorite moments in television when Letty was actually down in the cellar and using the spirits of the fallen to exercise the spirit of Hiram. It was really cool, and it feels true to how a lot of people in our culture, we're not afraid of our ancestors. We actually work with them, especially in things like, our own spirituality. A ghost story through the Black perspective could look a lot like this in media, and it's pretty cool. I was happy.
Yeah.
So
was I. I enjoyed that a lot. I was just like super pumped. I knew a little bit about it because I got to that point of the book where that was happening, but I stopped reading the book, guys, just because I want to be surprised. And even though there's a lot of changes in the show, compared, to the book, I just want to just go back to the book after I'm done watching the show. But that episode, like Grae, I watched it 3 times, probably a little bit more, right? Just because the performances were great. Like with me and Zoe talked about last week, just seeing like, the references and just all that stuff. And then, Journey Smollett as Letty, I'll just say she killed that performance, especially at the end. Like I felt emotion and that little seance or exorcism or whatever. I was just like, yes, so good. I still want to know what happened to the voodoo lady though, but it was all good.
They played her, man.
Yeah.
They did her dirty.
She just like got possessed. It went on to tick, and then she dropped out, and that was it. So
yeah.
But I mean, I guess she's not that important. So, but this, I will say, at the end of the episode, if you guys remember when the elevator was going down, you start seeing all those symbols and stuff. And then you see the bodies down there. This kind of plays into this episode here. A little bit. Because with Lovecraft Country so far, I always wonder how these episodes is just going to play into the next one, because it's always so many questions that needs to be answered. So I'm just like, well, how, you got all these dead bodies down here and Letty's in this house. Now, how is this going to go into, them going on this adventure? And it kind of plays into it a little bit. But we're going to get into that a little bit later once we get there. So real quick before we jump into this recap, what did you guys think about this episode? Ryan, you go first.
I liked it. I didn't like it as much as episode 3, but I felt it did a good job of following up on a lot of things that have been foreshadowed in previous episodes.
Okay.
And it definitely it had one of the more tense scenes so far, though, when they were going through the underground tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I was actually holding my breath with them at points. Like, I didn't realize I wasn't breathing.
Yeah.
And it was a really great job. I think it was a strong delivery for sure.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I as well. I mean, I agree with Ryan. I like that every story is building towards something, and that you can take parts from episodes 2 and 3 and apply them to part 4, or they're leading to episode 4, I guess. And that's fun to go back. Like, I've watched episodes a couple times through, and it's like, go back. Oh, they did mention this, or they did mention that, and to see it played out versus sometimes you get any random episode of a show, and it's just like, oh, that happened, and then nothing else. There's no follow up.
Yeah, it's like a plot hole.
That all this is purposeful and building up to something.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I mean, I will say, like Ryan said, like, it's not, well, so far it's not my favorite, but I did have a good time watching this episode. It was because it was kind of more of like an adventure. And I enjoyed it. It kind of gave me some Goonies and Indiana Jones vibes a little bit. So
yeah, I call this a Spielberg episode.
Yeah, totally.
That's a good way to call it. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. Especially one specific scene, but we'll get to that. So, but yeah, let's jump into the episode. So in the beginning, we have Montrose. He's going through some emotions in the beginning of the episode, and then in the background, you also hear. You hear, I guess, ghost of his past. Like, you hear him arguing with like a young Atticus, and there's one part in there where he's saying like "pick your switch" and things like that. And then he's also going through pictures of like George, and he's dealing with that death and things like that. So, and then he has the ancient book of Dawn. He ends up burning it.
Yeah,
and then he says smells like Tosa. What do you guys think about that? Like, yeah, go ahead, Grae.
If I had never, or if the current political situation wasn't the way it was, and the current president didn't try to have the RNC in Tulsa, I would have never known what that reference was.
Right.
Which I thought was a very fun Easter egg, or not fun. I guess that's really messed up to say. It was. I was happy that I could catch the reference into which they were talking about in the burning. I guess is the proper way to say that. My apologies.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan?
I actually didn't catch the reference, so I'm happy that you were able to, tell me about it. I didn't it kind of went past me, and I could still feel the emotion in the scene. It just felt like Montrose is a complex character.
Yeah.
And even this episode, even in this first scene, there was kind of like an enlightenment moment for me, because up until that, I just, no shade, I just saw him kind of is just like an abusive, alcohol abusing type person. But I should know better than that. It's like in real life, people are, who are in those type of situations, they're trying to drown something, and they're trying to numb themselves from things that they've gone through.
Right.
Because, hurt people. Like, it shows that Montrose probably is dealing with a lot more than we know. And he's clearly brilliant, because when he was flipping through the book, I didn't realize how much of it he retained until later in the episode.
Oh,
so he's capable, but I just think that he has a lot of demons, and there's also this burden on his shoulder, because he, George being gone, he feels now like, I think the last thing they said right before they cut to the opening credit was, you may be all he has left now.
Yeah.
And that's something he hasn't really delivered on. He hasn't really done a good job of that.
Right. Yeah, that was crazy to me too. He definitely has a lot of demons, and I kind of felt bad because as I was watching this, I remember last week I wasn't trashing him, but I was just like, I miss Uncle George already.
Yeah,
I don't want him to be a replacement for Uncle George, because I just love Courtney B. Vance, and he just did a great job as George or whatever. And then you got Montrose, and he's kind of just like an asshole, and you're just like, you really get a substitute for this? But he is very valuable. Like you said, in the later episode, he comes in handy, and I was impressed of how much he did remember. I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
We would have been dead if that was me, guys. I'm sorry. We would have been dead. I would have apologized, and then that would have been it. So yeah. Um, so now we get into Miss Christina Braithwaite just driving down, playing Rihanna. Bitch better have my money. And I remember I texted you guys and I was like, I gotta put my phone down because I was already getting my life at that scene. I was cracking the hell up because I was not expecting that song to play.
Yeah.
And then she goes to Letty's house, or technically her house, I guess, because she paid for it. And she tries to get in. Letty's not feeling her, and she can't get in because there's a spell on the house or whatever. And they pretty much has some confrontation, well, not confrontation, but a little talk there about, Christina actually owning, well, she paid for the house, and Letty realizes like, oh shit, well, my name is on the deed, but I mean, damn, so that money didn't come from my mom, it came from you.
Yeah.
Which was kind of, salty. And now she's speaking about Orium or ovary or something like that. She wants Hiram's ovary or something. How did you guys feel about that overall scene right there? Right.
I thought it was interesting because you have, well, first of all, I love the injection of current music or popular music as a narrative for the storyline. So it's kind of setting you up as to why she might be going to this house if you're listening to the lyrics, literally. One thing I couldn't make sense of was, and it could just because I'm younger and have no clue of historical things, when Christina gets out of the car and it's black and the arrows written on the cement, I couldn't tell if that was just an advertisement saying, the neighbor saying, oh, black people live here, or if it was Letty taking ownership saying, yes, this is a black household.
Oh, I didn't look at it like that. I looked at it as like the first thing you said, like somebody just put black just because it's like, oh, well, Negroes like live here or whatever. But that is a good way of saying like, oh, well, maybe Letty put that there because she's just like taking ownership of that.
Yeah, because there's no other, they don't really touch back on it, or not yet. So I was thinking maybe like after, especially after episode 3, like she owned everything in episode 3.
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of like, maybe this is purposeful on her part of saying, yes, I'm here.
Yeah, that was a nice scene. So, and at first I was just like, okay, like she clearly was there to get that object from Letty, and Letty had no idea what the hell she was talking about. All she got from that was, oh well, Christina paid for this house, and I'm sure Atticus know about it or whatever. But before we get into that, Hippolyta is talking to her father about there being 2 sons, and as this conversation is going, you actually see the solar system, the fake mechanic solar system thing that Christina was talking about, explaining to Letty. So do you guys think that this is the actual object that they're looking for?
I think it is. I think this is definitely the orrery. It seems to fit the description. And I remember how Hippolyta, because I could be misremembering where this happened, but somewhere between episode 2 and 3, it feels like no, it was definitely episode 3, because that's when Letty got the house.
Yeah.
I think there was a door that Letty said she couldn't open or something, or there was like a door everyone was struggling to open. I think that was the door that Hippolyta actually was able to get through to find the orrery. And we never were able to see, like, we never saw what happened to it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's consistent with, like, it was in the house, it was in a space that it feels like it opened up to Hippolyta, possibly. But I think this might be it. I think this is it.
Yeah, same here. When I seen it, I was just like, yeah, that's definitely it, because it was just like right after that conversation, and then it went to a shot of them showing the ovary. So Letty goes into the library and finds Tick, and the song that's playing there, I forgot the name of it, but it fit perfectly with that scene. It kind of, because Letty was angry. Obviously, she goes storming into the library. She's looking for him, and I forgot the name of the song. So if anybody knows, please let me know. If you guys don't know, but it's a song that kind of went with her mood, and I felt bad because I should have jotted that song down, but I didn't. But I was just laughing because I'm just like, this goes perfect with how angry she is. But she finds Tick, and she's upset because she's like, Christina came to my house, and like, you didn't tell me that, she was the one that paid for the house, and yada yada yada, blah blah blah. And I was also laughing because did you guys catch the little boy being aggravated?
Yes. That poor child. He just wanted to read his book. That was it.
Right. He just wanted to read his book. They showed him like 3 times, and he was like, you know what, fuck this. By the end, he bounced. But that part was like funny to me. But I think, was this the scene where Letty was trying to I'm not too sure if this was when Letty was trying to convince him to talk to Montrose.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he didn't want to, but I mean, he obviously ended up going ahead to do that. So then we get to let me see. Oh yeah, then we go to the bar, and this is when they're actually talking. Letty and Montrose is talking in the bar. Atticus meet them there, and Montrose is obviously being hard-headed. Like he's telling him like, you don't want to like do all this. Atticus don't want to listen. Blah 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 blah. And so, Atticus ends up leaving, and then Letty and Montrose have a conversation, and they talk about Montrose end up talking about that he ends up knowing a lot of information that Letty thought they didn't, that they didn't know. He says that I think the vault is in Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah, the vault is in Boston, and I guess that's when they start to take a trip there. I'm sorry, guys. I'm like, I had it written down, and I can't even reread my own handwriting, so I apologize to everybody.
Like that's exactly exactly it.
Okay, so then we get to Christina playing hide and seek with these children, which I was so confused about. I'm like, why she's playing hide and seek with these children, and like, so what do you guys? All right, let me stop right there. What do you guys think about Christina? Like, obviously she plays a huge and big part of this, but how do you guys feel about her? Like, what do you guys think she's up to?
Grae, you should start this one.
Oh, all right. I think that, I have a spoilerish theory. You guys know how I do. It's always conspiracy. But
I'm here for it.
I think I have a feeling what you're going to say, but go ahead.
I'm going to let that go for now. I'm just going to do my best to answer your question directly. I think in that moment, it's like showing how messed up things are, because here we are in the same neighborhood that has so much history as far as since Letty's moved in. And then she's just in the streets, even though she is kind of a critical role as to that's exactly how Letty got in the neighborhood. And here she's playing hide and go seek like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Here I am. Let's play.
Yeah.
And then I assume she's clearly there because she wanted to get noticed to go see the sheriff or the officer. I forget his rank, but she's playing chess purposely.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. I get that as well. She knows what she's doing. Especially the next scene where the police obviously approached her and the kids, and they end up taking her to see the captain. And when she gets to see the captain, she talks about so all right, so real quick, the captain obviously knows that something was hidden in their house, because even in episode 3 when he had Letty in the car, in the back of the car, he was saying something about like you living there and asking about something. And then now he's having a conversation with Christina, and he clearly knows like there's a treasure or whatever the hell is like in that house or whatever. Like he clearly knows. But he feels some type of way with Christina being involved. And then like, you know, he says like, no C word allowed. I'm not going to say that because that word is kind of like horrible. But did you guys notice when Christina walked into, you know, the captain's room and she looked through like a closet or like the blinds or whatever, you hear like this moaning.
Yeah.
So I was just like, what is that? Like, do he got somebody captured or like, like this show just keeps bringing up new questions. I don't know. Like, what do you guys think?
For a hot second, I was wondering if it was George. I'm not 100% sold that he's dead.
Me neither.
I don't know how the story would bring him back there or how that cop would have brought him back.
Right.
I was like, that's a good theory that it's George. I assumed it was just probably like a random person of color who he's using for, you know, some type of sexual exploit or he's torturing, because it seems like he was definitely caught up with whatever Hiram had going on with the experimentations.
Yeah.
So it doesn't elude me that maybe he has some type of weird stuff going on himself, even after Hiram has passed on. And it really showed another dimension of Christina's character, because from the beginning, they're establishing that she is a part of all this for sure, but she is basically looked down upon by them as well for being a woman. So there is this piece of empathy that she carries with her because of that, because she has a bone to pick with them as well. And that's how she, even though she's clearly selfish and like how Grae said, playing chess, she like it actually plays really well into what they're trying to make happen. So I think a lot of people could misperceive her as like, you know, helping the good guys, but she's, you know, I don't even think she really had a childhood. I think like she is very smart and she's very involved, and her playing with the kids in front of the house to me felt like, you know how Michael Jackson,
I know you want to say that.
it felt like he didn't have really much of a childhood, and so when he would play with children as an adult, it was perceived a particular way, but it was just indicative of the fact that he didn't really get to do those things because of you know growing up too soon. She's a complex character, and
she is.
You know, and the thing is, she's even shady because she peeked in there, saw whatever was in there groaning, and then she was just like, close the blinds. Or maybe I added that for sauce. I don't remember if she closed it or not for real, but she's a little shady.
No, she even asked like, "What's behind here?" She just kept talking about, you know, Hiram's ovary and stuff like that. So she didn't care. Christina, you are right. Like in the beginning, especially after episode 2, like I feel like, all right, maybe she is like on Atticus' side, and maybe she do, but no, she has her own agenda, and she's just doing whatever she, you know. So I'm just curious, especially based off of this episode. I'm just still curious of how she play and all this, but I don't know. Kind of in this episode, I had it first last week I had a theory about her, and this episode kind of proved me right just a little bit. I still may be wrong, but we'll get there once we get to that part, and I'll tell y'all what my theory is. And somebody said it too in like a comment in my last video or the video before that one, and I was like, you're on this, you know exactly what you're talking about as well. So, all right, so we have Atticus. After that scene, we have Atticus and Letty bickering in the car, putting their stuff in the, putting their suitcases in the car or whatever like that. And I would even say throughout this whole episode, there's some like tension between them two. Like they're like they're not really getting along too much, which is kind of interesting, except for like the one scene at the end where I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. We get to that too. But they're bickering, and Montrose is just like, I did not do it. I did not. Whatever. So I'm just like, what is he talking about? And then we have Hippolyta and D coming for the ride. And then I was just like, okay, how is this going to play out? Because they're supposed to like go on this adventure trying to find, the pages, Titus's pages and stuff like that. Hippolyta and Dee is going to get in the way. So I'm like, how is this all going to play out? But then we have, what's his name? Woody
Tree.
Or whatever.
Not one, not two, but Tree.
He's a funny character.
Yeah.
He's very funny. But we also find some stuff out. Like, you know what it is too? He's kind of shady.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's kind of shady, but you know, we'll get to that. So he obviously comes to the wrong because he said he has a Philly in Philly. So I said, oh, is he trying to go to Philly? Okay, that's where I'm at. So cool. So they head out there, and Hippolyta's just like, yeah, come on, you can get in the car. And it was just interesting to me because it seemed like Hippolyta knew what she was doing, because that shot on her was like, it went from like her smiling to like really serious. So I'm just like, she's thinking about something, because like, why she make that face? It was really interesting. If you go back, you'll see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's aware that everything is not as though it seems, even though she's not trying to change what happened to George.
Yeah.
Like, she's accepting of that part, but she's not satisfied with the overall situation.
Oh yeah, hell no.
And like later in the episode, it obviously comes to a head as far as
yeah.
But I think that's very intriguing that she's not just going to take yes for an answer or no for an answer. She's like, okay, fine, you can tell me this, but I still need to figure it out for myself.
Oh yeah, that's her man. Like, you just gonna go out and then he ends up dying, and then you just gonna say, oh, you gotta talk about the sheriff. Like, no, I'm gonna need some more answer. Like, what exactly happened? You can tell that you know something is not right. And I would be just like her. I'm like, I'm coming along for this ride. I might act like I want to go to the museum, but I want to find some shit out. So
no shade. I would have and this is the wrong thing to do. I don't endorse anyone doing what I'm about to say. I would have told her I need a little bit of time just to kind of clean up inside the car or something. And then when her and Dana went inside the house for that woman, I would have took her car. You're not coming with us. It's too dangerous. Like, I'm protecting your better, like your whatever it's called, better interest, your health, whatever. But you're not coming with me. Like, no. And and the funny thing about it, when Atticus and Letty were like bickering and like putting their stuff in the car and all that stuff, I was like, oh my god, this is like looking at me and my fiance. We're so petty like that. Like, when we're getting ready to do anything, and so we're like chuckling the whole time we're watching that scene, like, oh my god,
this is us.
this is us. Yeah.
That was cute though, because I was just like, I don't know, I like them two together. They're great.
I do.
And one thing I love about the show is just the representation of just, you know, just loving somebody, and just like black love, and just I don't know, just everything about this show just is great, especially with them two characters. Hopefully by the end, something good happens with them. I'm not too sure if they'll. One thing, I'm not too sure if they're actually meant for each other though, because it's just like all this stuff is happening, but I feel like by the end of the episode, something's going to happen where it's just going to keep them apart. So I don't know. This seems like the type of show where you're just not going to get a happy ending at the end. So yeah. So then, oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm curious of how that plays out too, because Atticus' bloodline essentially probably won't allow them to be in a relationship, or Letty's gonna have to come to a hard decision at some point. I think she's ultimately the hero of season 1.
I can see that. And plus, there's so many bones with Atticus and this woman who, you know, is alluded to from time to time. I think she shows up like as the Martian and the foreshadowing at the beginning of the show, and, like the first episode, and then she shows up again in like, I think he calls her, and then she shows up in the illusion test.
Yeah.
So there's something with her. I think she's like his lover for real. Like, there's some type of tea with that, but I don't know. But there's so much with Atticus that we don't get to see, because he is very focused on like what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And it can raise up.
Yeah, and Letty says something at the end where she was just like, the whole universe is not about you. Like, this is just not happening about you. And that's how he's kind of like playing off, since we met him. And like, she's right. Like, she got stuff going on, Mancho's got, kidnapped and stuff like that. It's not just about him. So yeah, I can kind of see where she was coming from with that too. And Ethicus just got so much, like you said, that still has yet to be revealed. You know what I mean? Like, especially coming from the first episode when he had that dream, and then it's just a lot that we still have to uncover. So
I think universe is going to be the key word there. Like, we're teeing up for something bigger than what is going on, let's say, on Earth.
Yeah. Well, we're on episode 4, so we got lots of time. So
yeah.
So we have Ruby. She's going into this department store, and they also playing another money song. I got money. I forgot who sings that too. But I hear that all the time. But anyway, she goes in there and she sees another colored girl working there. And she looks and she was like, hold up, let me go in here. And she starts shopping, and the girl comes to her, and she asks her, like, did you need help looking for anything? She's like, no, I'm good. And she's like, oh, well, when did you start working here? And you could just tell that Ruby feels some type of way, because I think that's the job that she wanted to go for, right?
This is actually something my grandmother has told me stories about white businesses hiring a token to handle the demographic, if you will. But there can only be one.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think when Ruby is going in there, she's too prideful to say, oh, I was going to apply for a job. It's like realizing, oh, they already have this one, and that woman just came over because that's her job. Oh, there's a black person in the store. I need to tend to them. But I do remember my grandmother telling me things about this, and she was a house cleaner in high school. So, like, when she'd have to go run errands for the people she worked for, it was definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny thing about it is, it's easy for situations like that, because like how it happened to your grandmother, a lot of the stuff that they address in Lovecraft Country is not fiction. Like, this stuff is based on real situations.
Yep.
And you hear about how those type of environments sometimes can pit people of color against each other. And you see it sometimes in industries too. Like, I know, like, Gabrielle Union talked about it, like how she was pitted against different women in the industry of color, because in places like that as well, there can only be like one on top.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is you are all kind of like, you just want to lay claim, you want to be able to support yourself and take care of yourself. And if you have any type of problems with one another, it takes a moment to take a breath and like step back and realize it's just the system. The institutionalized racism is what you're really upset with, because it's so ridiculous, like, that there can only be one person of color working in this store. And it's a job that I think a lot of us nowadays might take for granted. But like, people who came before us, like, they really just wanted a chance to have an honest living and work for themselves. And it puts a lot into perspective. I really like that scene, like, a lot.
Yeah, if anything, it's really a callback to the title, A History of Violence, of like black people, like you said, being pitted against each other because there can only be one. And you might not have anything against the person, they're a complete stranger, but you need what they have.
Yeah.
That's
crazy. It was even times, like, even to this day, like, I kind of still feel like things like that still happen. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Not to go like too deep in like personal, but even like in my situation, like at my job, I felt like that was kind of like my thing, because everywhere around me was just, you mostly see, white people. And I was really like the only person of color that I knew of in that, I guess, corporation. And I asked at the time, I asked my manager a long time ago, and I asked her, I'm just like, hey, is there any other, whatever? Because I felt comfortable enough to talk to her about those things. Like, she was cool. And she was like, and she was honest. She was just like, I don't know. And then she like, when I go, out and see other managers and stuff like that, I don't really see any. And then fast forward, me trying to fight for a position that I wanted and me being looked over a couple of times, but it's easily given to somebody else or whatever, different color skin or whatever. And I ask why. I'm kind of blunt when it comes to stuff like that. I'm like, well, what's up? If you hear fireworks, sorry, y'all. And it was always something like, oh, well, you know, you have to do this, you have to do A, B, C, and D, and E. And it's just like, well, I'm doing those things or whatever. And it took a lot for me to get to where I'm at right now. But then now I think about it now, like, is it worth it? Like, is this all worth it? But I don't know. It could just be in my head. You know what I mean? It could just be me just overthinking things. But it's just like I'm a good observer. Like I look at everything. So it's just that's just what I called on to for me. So I could kind of relate a little bit, just a little bit, especially with that scene. So when I seen it, I was like, oh. I was like,
yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. But to get off that sour note. So we have Letty and Tick back at, you know, at the museum or whatever, and Tree is talking about, do they have dinosaurs? I'm just like, homie, okay. But I think they end up like they have the brochure and they end up, I guess, finding, I guess, where the vault is at, that big statue and stuff like that, and where they have to go underneath. But they obviously can't go in there until, you know, it closes or whatever. But hold on. I love this scene where we have Hippolyta and Dee, and they're looking at the they're in that room and they're looking like the stars and the comets and stuff like that. And they're having a conversation. And Hippolyta is like, I named that comet. And Dee was just like, wow. And what was the name of the comet? It was just like
Hera's Chariot.
Hera's Chariot. And that warmed my heart when Dee shouted out, like, hey, my mama named this comet Hera's Chariot. And everybody was like, and then like looking. And it was great too, because you see like not just black people, but it was white people in that room as well. And they were still as, you know, impressed. So just that little scene right there kind of like warmed my heart a little bit. I'm just like, oh, Dee is actually happy. But Hippolyta was also telling Dee, like, you know, obviously she named it and, you know, a white person took it, but, you know, they didn't want to, you know, since she's a person of color, they don't want to, like, you know, give the props to somebody that named, you know, a comet to a person of color. So it kind of goes like that back in music too, where a black artist do something. And then the white artists take it, they give them the credit for it because the black artists can't, you know, they can't put that out there because it's like bad marketing or whatever. So I kind of compared it to that. And I'm just like, but she said, well, we know the truth. So that's when Dee was kind of just like, hey, my mama named this comet. And I was just like,
proud.
oh, she's proud.
I think this scene in particular is the reason why I started reading the book and I stopped reading the book. Aside from what's going on with George, this scene has changed as well, as where Hippolyta, it's I want to say it was Pluto she's claiming to have found, and like a white person used the U.S. Postal Service system where she had to use the courier system, so the Postal Service got there first. Spoiler, sorry if you guys are reading the book, sorry. And it shows, just like to your point, Bobby, of like white people getting the advantages or privileges in life, even though there are African Americans doing the same work and never receiving credit for it. However, I'm hoping to see that her knowledge of the constellation system goes back into play for the two sons.
I didn't think about that.
I think it's teeing up for that.
It is. She's an astronomer, so she knows what she's doing. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to play. And like, guys, we have 10 episodes, so there's just so much more to unravel. So I feel like Hippolyta and that information, she's going to do something. Something's going to happen.
Yeah,
she knows a lot.
That's it. The funny thing is, though, Dana represents in this episode with her pride and in previous ones where she's constantly creating new characters. She's like the optimism and the hope of like the younger generation in the Black community who haven't gone through as much as those who came before them. So she still has like all of these, like, I'm going to make it for my community and my people. And she's so, proud.
Yeah.
And I like it. It's a nice tone. Because like a lot of this, everything that they're dealing with being in like Jim Crow America it's heavy and it can be like soul shattering, but like Dana represents like, the soul going on and still being able to be resilient. And even when you look at how like many strides we've made up until today, it's like there's still a chance to keep going. She represents that.
Yeah.
I love Dana.
Yeah, she's great.
She looks like Tierra Whack a little bit to me.
She does a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also another person from Philly.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's from Philly. All right, so we also get into Tree and Tick talking, and somebody just left a comment, and it's perfect for this part right here. If you guys can see it, CJ says Tree also tried to blow up Macho's spot and tell Tick about his dad extracurricular activities, which is true.
Extracurricular.
My mouth was open because I'm like, here we go, Tree again, being yeah. And I guess he felt some type of way because he was trying to hit on Letty, and Letty was just like, well, apparently we had sex in high school, right? So I should know. So he goes back to Tick and say, hey, like, did you tell her? And he's just like, well, whatever. So then he goes into saying like, hey, is it about like me sending you back there with Sammy and you seen that situation? And he's just like, well, I don't have a problem with this, none of my business. And then the Tree says something to Tick, and Tick is like, well, I'm not a sissy, but he's like, well, I'm not talking about you. Manchos was spending, while you were away, Manchos was spending a lot of time with Sammy. So I was like, cool. Wow, Manchos. So then we have Manchos walking over because he was talking to the security guard, and Tick is looking at him funny, like, how do you know that guy? And Manchos like, oh yeah, bar or whatever. And back in Tick's mind, especially since he got the information from Tree, he know that maybe Manchos probably offered something to that security guard. How did you guys feel about that scene?
It's hard to believe Tree sometimes because he does lie, but I believe this. It was almost like an aha moment. Because it I mean, I don't know how to say it. I'm just gonna chill. But, let me just I'm trying to like put it delicately, but at one point I thought, and at the beginning of it, I thought Tree was hitting on Atticus when he was like, oh, is it your thing? And he was standing there awkwardly for like 45 seconds, like staring at him. I was like, where is this headed? But nowhere. But yeah, when he came up from that basement with that security guard, and Atticus like, how do you know him again? I literally could not stop laughing. I think it's true. I think there is some truth to that for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely for sure. Especially how I was just laughing because how Atticus was just like staring at him.
Yes.
Like, how did you know him? And he was just like staring at him, like not in a disgusted look, but like kind of like in the
surprise.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh, but I guess that's probably gonna come out a little later in the season about Machos and his extracurricular activity.
Yeah, I think I like the scene because it handled it truly as a child, just realizing, oh, my parent has a relationship with other people other than my mother or other than my father, and it's like having to view them as a sexual being, we'll say for now.
Yeah. A sexual being. Okay. Okay, so from right after that scene, we have Christina, driving up. I guess I'm not too sure if that's her place or not.
Mm.
She goes in there, and then soon after she goes in there, William comes out, and then he goes marching to the cars where the policemen are in there, and he he does beat their ass and kind of say, Miss Braithwaite, do not like being followed. So now, guys, somebody had a theory in my past two videos, and I kind of had the same thing about Christina. So I think that Christina is William.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Yes. I think she is definitely William. Just a coincidence, especially given on episode 2, where she was excluded from a lot of the events because she's a woman.
Right.
She's a sorceress, so she can probably turn into anything that she wants. So she builds this version of herself as a man. So she could participate in those, meetings and things like that.
And I think that's how she's able to stay ahead of them.
Yeah.
And play better.
Yes. And you never see them two in the same scene together. So that was another reason why I thought, Christina is William, because I'm just like, they're never in the same scene. And then they kind of got similar eyes, line here or whatever. And it was just so ironic that she goes into the house and then he comes right out, like right after, like she knew. So, but it gets disturbing a little bit later because we see a lot of William later on in the episode, and things happen. And if that's really Christina, then that's really fucking weird. So we're just gonna wait on that there.
I think the introduction of a character we haven't gone over yet in the third act is maybe where Christina picked up shape-shifting. And maybe, never mind. We'll talk about Montrose when we get there. But I don't think you're wrong. I'm in the same category of, I guess you would know if we saw Christina topless at this point.
Yeah. That's true.
Which, out of context, people watching, once you see the episode, you'll know what I mean.
CJ also said we never see them in the same, in the place together. Yeah, we don't. So that's another reason why, CJ, he's all right. I'm not going to put these comments on here because he's jumping ahead. So hold on, CJ. I'll put them as we go along. But we go back to Montrose, Letty, and Atticus. They go back to the museum, trying to sneak their way to get into the vault. And then this was kind of like just weird to me. It was just too much of a coincidence that, the moon and then it shines through the thing and hits the map and then it hits the thing and then Letty flips the thing open and then the whole statue opens up. I'm just like,
very Indiana Jones.
Very Indiana Jones. And as soon as that happened, I was like, I see what they're doing. That's why I love this show so much, y'all. It gives us a little bit of everything: adventure, sci-fi, horror, just everything. I love it so much. So Tick finds his way going down into the I guess the ground or whatever. He finds the tunnels and he's reading what it says across the top thing, and I guess it's referencing I guess the waves that's going to, not the waves, what I'm talking about, the tides. If they obviously being down there too long, because I can't read it for exactly what it was, but that's what it was referencing. But I was also laughing at this scene because he's like, there's 3 tunnels here, and he's saying we're going to need that map, and Letty was so quick to she was not playing. She was like, oh, so she break the glass, and Montrose was like, hold on, like the police or whatever. She didn't care. She grabbed it and shimmy her way right down that rope. And I'm just like, Letty just has no patience. She just goes right ahead, and then like Montrose goes following down and stuff like that. So what do you guys think about that scene? Like, did you expect, because I was wondering, like, all right, so there were 3 tunnels. So I was wondering how like which one they were going to choose. At first, I thought they were going to like all choose their each tunnel, one of them for each one, and then like they all have like their own little situation inside their tunnel, and then meet together. But then they end up finding out that they should just go to the north tunnel, and they end up going through there. Did you guys have that same thought or no?
Essentially, yeah, I thought that they were going to split up, and I thought it was nice to change up that paradigm of, hey, we can do this on our own, versus we came in together, let's stay together. Not that was ever said. I want to say, just being an Evil Dead fan, when they entered and Atticus started reading the walls, like that drove up my anxiety level. I was like, no, you never do this. Never say whatever it is.
You never say it out loud, man.
Yeah.
Never.
But I love the scene and the way it was handled. I actually rewinded a couple times. I thought something weird was going on with the rope, but that was just my mind in hyperdrive. But yeah, I thought it was great the way they handled it.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, they definitely did a great job with it. And it felt like, I mean, there is that lesson of, we're stronger together than we are apart. And it felt like there was just like a really strong metaphor through the entire scene.
Yeah.
Sticking together, stepping out in faith, with people supporting you, holding you back, and everything else that it gets into. But that's just how I am. I was having a lot of time being stressed out in that scene, so I didn't notice the metaphor until I watched it a second time. I was too damn stressed. Like that little plant. Come on now, like. No.
Okay, so we get into Ruby in the bar. She's singing. She finishes. Nobody claps, give her applause. So she was like, well, fuck you too. I said, girl, I know. She's frustrated. She's annoyed. She's stressed. And then, like, y'all could at least gave her one little clap. Nobody didn't do anything. So she goes to the bar. No. She goes to the bar, get her drink, and then the bartender's like, yeah, the blue eye down there, he got you. And it ends up being William. So, William and Ruby's having conversation, and she kind of tell him that, about her situation at the I guess the department store or whatever. And is this part right here where he like offers her something, the best thing of her life or something like that? I don't know. Yeah.
Which I did like, because when the bartender starts pouring the first drink, she was like, oh no, I don't have the money for it.
Yeah.
But then like her later answer is, something like, don't quote me, oh, white boy, you think just because you buy me a drink, I'm gonna go with you or something like that? It's like, I got money. And it's like, it's funny how quick she put up that front of, I can't be bought, even though we know she doesn't have the money.
Oh yeah, definitely. Ruby's giving full sisters in the scene. Yo, Ruby, I love her. She is so beautiful.
Yeah,
that melanin and just she's gorgeous. I love her. I fell in love with her when I first seen her on the first episode, when she was just wearing an outfit and she was singing, and just the contrast with the colors and her dress and her skin, just everything. She's beautiful.
She definitely is, and like she just gets the short end of the stick. Like
right.
They really, but the messed up part about that is the fact that she is downtrodden right now, and he's offering her this opportunity. That is going to be a serious issue, in my opinion, where it might mean that she weaponizes willingly or unwillingly against, Atticus and everything that they're working towards, essentially, because she is downtrodden. And, people do that. They're predatory. They stand back and they offer opportunities to people, for their own gain. There's things that they want out of that exchange. And sometimes you just want somebody to listen to, because she's going through all that essentially alone. And it's some heavy stuff she's been dealing with.
Yeah, especially with Letty and stuff like that. Like I feel like she, like you said, she is getting the short end of the stick, especially when it comes between her and Letty. And even though she doesn't know that that money didn't come from their mother, like in her head that she thinks it is, and so oh well, why Letty got it, and that's when they had gotten into that argument. So she's definitely feeling some type of way, and then she didn't get this job, so she's going through it, and especially with William showing up.
Yeah.
and offering stuff where I feel like it's going to lead to no good. It's going to kind of like mess her up a little bit more, and I'm hoping that it doesn't. But I feel like she's going to end up. That's going to end up happening, unfortunately.
Let me ask you this. So when they have their hot and steamy on the steps, whose house are they in?
I thought it was Letty's, but
Yeah.
I guess it wasn't because I thought that, like, well, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I thought it was Letty's.
Yeah, me too. I just thought it was Letty's. I thought it was like, well, because they're living together, right? Them two. So,
Right.
I mean, I thought it was their house, you know?
So,
but if that's the case, remember, I don't know, because it goes back to my theory. If William is Christina, Christina's not allowed in the house because the thing is there. So how would William be able to go in there?
I thought it was a callback to the Dracula book, and as to where Ruby would have invited William in, and where Christina wasn't invited in.
Oh,
I thought the same thing because those little X's would have stopped it, but like, you know, she getting, you know, come on in, you know, like she's like,
I need y'all brain. I didn't even think about that. That's smart. I had no idea.
I'm assuming it's Letty's house. I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, I think it's Letty's because, like, who else would it be unless it's their house? I mean, William house or whatever, or Christina house or both of their house. I don't know.
I just think, but I think if it was William and Christina, Wilmstina, people would notice a Negro coming in or something.
But to your point about the Dracula thing, you know something else? He tasted her blood. Maybe that was a nod to say, like, you know, this is Dracula, y'all.
I literally said that. Not on a one-night stand. There's no bloodletting. Like, what's going on?
That was hot, though. I mean, like, that was smoking hot. I was like, wow. And I don't even, but that was hot.
Fine.
I'm sorry.
Okay. That was hot though. Black Gay Comedy. I love his. He got a great YouTube channel. Y'all. Y'all should check him out. Black Gay Comedy. He's awesome. I've been saying he reminds me of Eric from True Blood. He does. When you look at William, he for some reason I don't know if it's his eyes or his like facial structure, but he does remind me of Eric from True Blood. If you guys watch that show.
I thought it was that actor at first, like in the first scene that I'd ever saw him in, but quickly I saw it wasn't him. But they favor.
Yeah, they do favor each other. So now we get into the part that was giving me the most anxiety ever. Letty, Atticus, and Montrose, they come across this plank. They have to get to the other side. There's no other way to get across, y'all. And Letty goes first. And my anxiety was just hitting like going through the roof because I'm just like, okay, I would have died. I'm sorry. I would have fell off that plank because I have no balance. It's just not going to work. I wouldn't have gotten that far. I'm sorry. Letty did an amazing job. So she goes, but then soon to realize it's a booby trap. There's this damn X swinging back and forth.
That
scared the fuck out of me. I wasn't ready for that, and I'm like, well, how are they going to get across this? So as that's happening, Tick is trying to go out, save her, whatever. The plank starts to disintegrate. It starts disappearing. Guys, how did y'all feel about this? Like, did y'all have anxiety like me? I'm just saying, did y'all have anxiety like me, or
I still have anxiety?
The pendulum part, definitely. However, Montrose, I'm like, jump! Like, why would you jump? Like, I'm yelling at the television, and it's like, what is Atticus gonna do for you? Like, you getting his attention, you're wasting a bridge. So yes, very anxiety driven. I was definitely yelling at the television screen.
Yeah, me too.
I couldn't do that plank, y'all. I mean, I thought it was just going to be like they go across, and then maybe I thought one of them might die. but I didn't anticipate the disintegrating. I didn't anticipate the pendulum swinging, and Montrose jumping and me balancing him, and all, no, he'd have been short. I mean, I love my dad to death, but I'm sorry. Like, it's bad enough I'm up here, and y'all lied to Letty to get her up here talking about making up some slave tale just to turn out they wasn't no slaves in the first place.
Right. I was just like, y'all tried it with that, man. Come on. Like
my girl like that.
The one thing I love about this scene, though, is that they did take something we've seen before in Indiana Jones and then, like, still make it anxiety-inducing or draw you in and with the spin on it. And that I loved about it. I don't know about this toss. What did you guys think about the toss of the bag from Montrose to Atticus?
I lost it. Soon as he tossed the bag and it fell, I said, nope. That was it. And then Montrose was like, you better catch me, boy.
Lies.
And I'm just like, if he couldn't catch that bag, what makes you think he's going to catch you?
That's what I was thinking.
I didn't even think about that. I mean, his life is more precious. Is that the correct answer?
I guess.
For me, like, I wouldn't even try to save the bag. Like, the bag can sit on the ground right here. I'm just gonna jump.
Yeah.
She out there, ain't she? CJ said. Amen.
Yeah, I would have just, like, when he dropped the bag, I was like done. But then they made it, and then they ran across the plank, and they had to, go past the pendulum thing swinging or whatever, and they did. But the thing was still disintegrating. Then they come to the wall and they have to put in some damn pattern codes and shit like that. If I would have made it to that point, that's the part where I would actually died. Yeah. Because guys, like, I don't do well too much under pressure. I'm just admitting that right now. And this is where Montrose come in handy, where he remembered what he read in from the beginning of the episode, where he read in the book, and that's when Letty was pushing, as he was saying, and it opened up the door, and then they made it through. Yeah. I don't know how you guys would have done in that scene, but me, nah.
I mean, I'm excellent under pressure, but I still would have died because it wouldn't have been the pressure. It would have been, I would not have remembered that blurb. Even now, if you were to, like, say, like, take out something, like, go, I don't remember the order. I have, like, a general idea, but with so little time, you can't be fucking around. You got to knock it out and get in. You only got one shot.
This is where I say where Letty comes in to save the day again. Because first of all, Letty's always saving the day, but she was the one pushing them in. But she was on point and she got it.
Yeah,
I do appreciate that, to see where people strive. Where I have a shirt with that. I wear a size 14 shoe. Ain't no part of that bridge I would have been safe on.
It was just for the moment you would have stepped on it.
Yeah, that's it. No. It's like, that's what I'm thinking. I was like, oh my God, they must be a size 10, because that's the only way it was happening.
Yeah, because it was like the most narrow thing in the world. Well,
yeah, that's that whole scene. I don't know, man. It was just a lot. It was just a lot for me. I was really at the edge of my couch watching it, but they made it through. And they continue on their journey to find these pages. Then we get into. Oh wait, actually, they start talking about, like, they have less than an hour before the water starts to rise, so they have to hurry up and find those pages or whatever. Again, I'm not built for adventure, so again, the theme for tonight is I would have died. So I wouldn't have survived this stuff. But then we get into Ruby still talking to William at the bar. And this is where we kind of go into, she feel like she's talking about her, feel like she's getting short in the stick, and talking about this, the job thing or whatever. And then William is like offering her things, and she's just like, yeah, don't look at me like that. It ain't going to happen, white boy. And it happens.
Yeah.
And I knew it would.
Me too. I will say that scene to me was hot, though. I don't know. It was like I knew it was gonna happen, but I'm just like, I don't know. Like I wasn't expecting Ruby to be getting the action all like that, especially with William. Like it was just like I wasn't expecting them to. You know what I mean? I
Oh
was
yeah, same.
I like the fact that anyone can get it. Like,
yeah,
Amen.
anybody can get it.
yep.
But it bothers me though because if we are right and if Christina is William, like she's
Yeah.
okay. I mean that's fine, but she's like using poor Ruby, you know, to get whatever
Oh,
she's looking for. And imagine if Ruby found out like it's really Christina, and you know, it's just I don't know, man. It's a lot that goes into that moment there for me.
you make
Hot,
a good point because, like, I did. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
no, go. I was just saying hot scene.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say you make a good point because when you were saying like, oh, what if it's Christina? In my mind, I'm like, what's wrong with that? And then you say, because she's using Ruby. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm
Yeah,
so caught up in how hot the scene was, and I'm like,
yeah.
if I'm in Ruby's shoes and I'm having a good time,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like, just use the spell, baby. We'd be all right,
yeah, totally. And another ironic thing too, as that's playing, the song "I Got a Spell on You" starts playing, but it's Marilyn
Yeah.
Manson's version.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I like, you know what, this is Christina, because it's just too much. Like that song starts playing. My theory is that, yeah. Or they could be going with, William actually, putting a spell on her and making him fall under the influence. Or we could go with Grae's theory too, as far as the whole vampire thing. And he's kind of like, you know, what do they call it when a vampire hypnotizes you and you kind of just like go along with whatever they're doing. So it could be a
Yeah.
lot of factors that play into that, especially
Well,
with the whole blood sucking and kissing, which was hot too.
Well, I've noticed, or not noticed, there's only been two, but both sex scenes so far have involved blood. So I'm wondering if there's something more Lovecraftian that I don't understand yet.
Yeah.
That's going on with that.
Yeah. CJ says they got to rewatch. Yes, rewatch. It's a hot scene. It's amazing. It's kissing. It's blood. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I endorse.
So do I.
In the companion podcast, though, they talk about vampirism as themes in a lot of the storylines. There we
Yeah.
go. They
I
even
mean,
said that like Letty is like a sexy Dracula
I
because
heard. Yeah.
because she preys on others and she has died and come back,
Yeah.
and it's that's vampire-ish.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the theme of this probably like this whole entire show because they even said that about the Shoggoths, saying like they're like vampires and
Oh
um,
yeah.
yeah, because they don't like light, they bury themselves underground, and if they bite you, you kind of turn into one of them. And George made a reference to that. He was like, they're like vampires, and he's also reading Dracula. So there's a lot of like vampirism in this show. I guess, which is great. So maybe that will play more into it later on in the season. I guess when we find out more. So, all right. So we get to wait. Hold on. Oh yeah. Also in that scene, let me go back real quick. So while they're on the steps and uh, William's shirt is off, you see a scar of a ram.
Yeah.
Look like there's a ram on there. Obviously that's going to play a part in something as well because I'm just like, okay, this means something. And it goes back to what you were saying, Grae. If we see, Christina shirtless, if we see that, then we know, like,
Yeah, definitely the same person.
yeah, definitely the same person. So I think they probably threw that in there for a reason. But now I want to know the significance of why a ram or a beast or whatever the hell it was on there. So
Yeah.
So yeah, so we go back into, the three musketeers over here, still trying to find these pages. And Tick and Montrose is pretty much arguing about the book. Tick finds out that Montrose destroyed the book. He was like, why the fuck did you do that? Why did you destroy the book? And then Montrose goes on to say, well, it's ruined everything and this, and that, and you never listen, boy. And it goes into a whole argument between them two. And Letty just goes on and just do her thing because she's Letitia fucking Lewis, so she still go ahead and do things about people just doing. She's just ahead of the group.
Right.
I love her. I love her so much. So then we get into I think, is this where this is when they're under the water. Well, they're not swimming under the water, but they're going through the water. And this is when I think we find the elevator. And this one I find before the elevator. I'm sorry, guys. So sorry. When Letitia is going through, she sees a dead body floating. And she was like, that's one of the guys that went missing. So in my head, I'm just like, okay, weren't y'all just in Boston? Underneath this thing. And if I see this elevator and then you see this, and I put two together, and I'm like, this elevator looked like the same elevator in Letty's house. And then if you're saying this is the guy that went missing, and it shows at the end of the third episode where the guy's bodies end up at the bottom of like the basement or whatever the hell it was. Is this like a connection from like Boston to Chicago? Like how, like this is a weird connection here, like, or is it just like some type of spell that can connect the two? Like, I don't know. What did you guys think? Did you guys like catch that?
I think that the elevator itself, it has magical or supernatural elements, and that's what we were seeing when it went down with the orange graphics or whatever were lighting up, is that was it activating, taking them to Chicago. Or taking us to Chicago, not knowing it was Chicago, but the tunnel. As the viewer, I guess I didn't put that together well. But
as Grae is saying that, I'm erasing my answer and writing that.
What was your original?
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't know how far Boston is from Chicago, so I just went with it. I was just like, oh, that's cool. Like I didn't even think about it, to be honest.
I thought about it too. For some reason, I just thought like, oh, there's some weird teleportation dimension thing that just add the two together. I don't know, just because this show is just that, this magical sorcery. There's a whole bunch of crazy shit. So yeah, I just kind of just thought that. But yeah, Grae, I like your answer, so we're just gonna go with that.
Well, I mean, and to add to it, it's like when we see it in episode 3, the tunnel goes on for a long time full of skeletons. Or, I mean, it looks like it's endless full of skeletons. So, couple that with the tide coming in, is that if you're moving from the East Coast to Central America, you could say that, the water was coming in and then it rises.
Yeah.
CJ says it's a 15-hour drive.
It was in the beginning. Remember when they said that, and Letty was like, "I have to be in this car 15 hours with you guys."
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I don't know, man. It's really interesting. It's magic, I guess. But this is where we also find out that Hiram, that's how you say his name, right? Is it Hiram?
Yeah, I think Hiram. Yeah.
Hiram. There you go, Hiram. Hiram Epstein is a part of the order, and he died trying to get the pages as well. So I'm assuming that's how he died. And his ghost was trapped inside that house because he was trying to get those pages and stuff like that while doing the fucked up shit that he was doing, unfortunately. So also we have Tick and Letty have like a little bickering and fighting scene, and Mancho tells Tick, and this was another cute scene to me too, how he was just saying like how like that's what couples do, and you should have like that song for your woman, because when you guys argue, that's something that you should think about that song or whatever like that, because in the end it's a whole lot of love. And I was just like, oh, that is so true. I don't know, guys. I'm a softie when it comes to stuff like that. So
it's such a great fatherly moment in the midst of all of this unexplainable.
Yeah.
And I like how they kind of hone it back in, or the tension between Tick and Letty is constant. It isn't just like, oh, we have a thing for each other, everything's fine. It's like, no, we're trying to be in a relationship, plus all this crazy shit is happening
Right.
24/7 since I met you, or since I saw you again since high school.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good. Hopefully, it's not the last father-son scene that we get between them two that's like positive, because Macho's got a lot of shit going. They just seem like they just don't get along. So, but Letty finds the vault. She finds the vault or whatever. And
Chester Copperpot.
Yes, that's what I thought about too. And I'm just like, this is so Goonies. Like, I was getting my life because I love the Goonies so much. So they find it, and Atticus have to stick his arm through the thing. They see the arm already in here, but it's an arm that's like not attached to a torso, I guess. So I was scared for Atticus because I'm just like, this might happen to him. But he puts on the ring, put it through, and I was also laughing again because he gave Montrose like this look, and he was like staring at Montrose for a minute, like it was kind of like he was vulnerable, like I'm scared, but I'm gonna do this, and he ends up doing it. And when he shouted, I was like, oh shit, here we go, he about to lose his arm, but no, they just used his blood to open up the secret passage door, and then they make their way up into the door. And they find a lot of bodies in there, which is kind of interesting because I'm just like, how do people, unless something like hit them, like some type of like spell, and it froze them in the way they are, how do people die standing up like that or just holding babies and stuff? It was an interesting scene, but what did you guys think about all of that?
I think for me it was the sticking the hand in the thing, kind of like Indiana Jones. I mean, I don't know how many times I'm gonna say that this discussion.
No, it is. This whole episode was like inspired by that.
Yeah, and it's great to see African Americans in the Indiana Jones / Goonies aspect of, let's just say 80s, right? We get our own little 80s treatment. And I just took the hand. I thought it was a torch sticking out. Like I couldn't tell what the hell it was.
Me too.
In the water.
Yeah, because when you seen it in the water, it was just like, I guess the end of it was like spread out.
Yeah.
I was like, it looked like a torch, but then when it came off, I was like, oh, that's an arm. So I was like, okay.
So then that's when I realized that, or after he did it, I was like, okay, it's a booby trap. Like people who aren't blood related can't open the door.
Right.
And then I assume the people that are standing up were maybe forced a blood relative in there, and then they tried to take what was in there.
Yeah. It was so NDS tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get into the room, and we see the bodies, like I mentioned, like that, and then we see a corpse lying across the table, reaching across the table, and it's holding the pages. Try to get the pages, and then a corpse become alive. It starts shifting into this woman. I was just like at the edge of my seat at this because I was like, all right, well, now what the hell is happening? Like they went through all of this. Now we got this ghost, morphing into this. At first I said thing because I didn't know what it was becoming at first. It was just like moving, and then I started to slowly develop into like a human, and I was like, okay, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
But then it, the corpse turns into a woman, and her name is Yahima. Yahima. And she has like an interesting, story. Wait, hold on. Oh yeah, Tia Martin intersects Yahima two spirit. Yes, she says she's two spirit, man and woman. I was shocked when I seen, a penis. I wasn't expecting it. I thought of Sleepaway Camp real quick. Exactly. I thought about Sleepaway Camp right away. And I was just like, oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love it. But then she talks about how, she knew Titus and stuff like that, and he portrayed her. She wanted to be with her family, but putting a curse on her, keeping her down there with her family, killing her people, but keeping her alive in there, trapped in there. And she obviously can't help Atticus and them because she don't trust his spirit. What were you guys' thoughts on this scene right here when you start to see her manifest into what she is, and then how she was speaking, I guess, Arawak, and she was talking to Atticus about her past and stuff?
I'm really curious. Or Ryan, I'll let you go.
I would definitely say I was surprised by the scene because I wasn't expecting the corpse to reanimate.
Yeah.
And when it did happen, the graphics were like really, really good.
Yeah.
And then the story that was being told didn't feel it didn't feel different from what a lot of people have gone through when it comes to colonization, where they're promised one thing, or they're cordial to the people who are coming in, just for them to just manipulate and use them and take things from them. So it was definitely consistent and on theme with that. And it showed how the struggle of what Atticus and them had went through is definitely something that they can relate to for Yahima.
Yeah.
Would you say because of a history of violence?
Yes.
Yes. There
we go. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because of a history of violence. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're alike in our suffering in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just in my heart broke when they started telling their story. Remind me of the story of America. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is America.
Right.
Yeah. So we get that, and she obviously can't help him because it's like I feel like she wants to, but she's like, even though blood, whatever, I just can't trust you. I don't know where your spirit lies. Yeah. So Montrose is just like, fuck this, just get the pages, let's go. He end up grabbing the pages, and then the windows start to break and water starts to like come through. They all start she's a good one. They all start running. Well, they start running as the water and the tide is like coming through, and they're swimming towards the elevator to try to get in, but they end up losing the pages. So Letty, saving the day again, swims out to get the pages and ends up back in the elevator. And they're inside there, but then we soon realize that Yahima cannot talk. She starts yelling and doing this high screeching, this high pitch noise, and Atticus punch her. I wasn't expecting that. I was just like, I felt bad for laughing, but I guess that was his only way to get her to shut up. Because that was like, that even hurt my ears. I had my TV on loud, y'all, so that did hurt my ears. But I was just like, damn, like I wasn't expecting it. So what did you? Go ahead.
I think there's something he's not letting on, because it's the same amount or same way he can talk to her. Like he never addresses what he understands. He just keeps going. Yeah. And the same reason where she starts screaming the alarm sound or whatever, like he instantly punches her with no hesitation. Like I think he knows more about her than he's letting on.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely.
I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how that's going to play out, because then at that end scene, Grae. So,
yeah.
So come to find out, yes, she turns out to be a siren. They are up there. I guess Montrose and Atticus have a talk, and Montrose is proud. He says that he's proud of Atticus and all that other stuff. And I'm just like, okay, something's up, because Montrose, I feel like, always has something up his sleeve, regardless of what it is. I just don't trust the man still. There's a lot going on with him. Oh wait, CJ says Yahima became a siren because of the curse to stop Yahima from telling us. Yeah, we forgot about that. Yeah, he put that curse on her to keep her from telling, the secret and stuff like that. Titus was a piece of shit. I hope we get more. I hope we see more, like backstory on like Titus. And that, like I want to. When they go back, and I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. I feel like they are. Like we got 10 episodes. I'm pretty sure they're going to go back into the past and kind of give us more of like a story about that. Let's see what else. Oh, that was Marshal's Death Puncher, right? Marshal's Death Puncher. I said Atticus. I'm so sorry. But yeah, so we get to the ending scene, and then Atticus and Marshal's talk, he's proud, whatever. And he said we have to treat Yahima English or whatever because she'll become very useful. So, Atticus end up leaving, and then Marshal's close the door behind him while he's in the room with Yahima, and he slits her throat, and the show goes off. I was not expecting it. Okay,
not at all. I thought it was going to harken back to the security situation earlier in the episode.
I thought so too.
Yeah. I
thought he was trying to see what was up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they said the ovary give you the ability to time travel, so maybe they will actually meet Titus. Yeah, we'll get there. I'm sure we will. Especially with some of the clips I've seen for this the past season. In the trailer, I feel like that's what's probably going to happen. So, yeah. Montrose must know a lot more based on the way it ended. Well, yeah. he's obviously hiding something, y'all. Like, he's obviously hiding something. Because why would he do that? Like, why would he, like, slice her throat? Like, not that she can even talk, but I guess maybe he did get scared because maybe eventually she was going to learn something or was going to be able to say something and kind of, like, I don't know, tell a secret about Marshalls that, Atticus doesn't know. Like, I don't know, it's so much. We need to know.
Yeah.
So much.
Maybe they're getting, or maybe it's a misdirection. Like, he's protecting Atticus because he knows Atticus is supposed to become a weapon of some sort.
Yeah.
So he's trying to do whatever he can to change that, like protect his son, even though it comes off as an asshole right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just glasses half full thought. That's not really what I think.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a lot. Like this, I always say this on my reviews every week. I always say like this show gives us an hour worth of material that's like movie worthy. Like all of this can be like literally in a movie. Just yeah, so much. Trying to get my best friend on it now. She texted me today after she seen my post. It's like, what is Lovecraft Country? I said, girl, I've been talking about this show for like how many weeks now? What are you talking about?
What is Lovecraft Country?
What is Lovecraft Country? It's like that's all I'm talking about. Like I've been putting in my stories. I have it in my like. She tried it, but I let her use my account so she can like catch up and watch it. I let her be fair. If you're watching, her name is Shanice. If you're watching, I'm sorry, but you need to get up on it, girl. Okay. But yeah, guys. Oh, hold on. We got another comment for Black Gay comment. I think it's also self-hatred due to Montrose being gay, and Yahima is two-spirit because remember he was disgusted and was like, "What are you?" So I think it's both. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
that could be it. Especially in that time, self-hatred, like being gay and all that stuff is kind of. I mean, it's like that now, but back then it was like a lot worse. So that could be it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Did y'all mention Marshall's burning the book and says smells like Tulsa? Yes, we did. In the beginnings. It's not personal as to why we chose kill Yahima is for a reason. We will find out later. Yes, we will. And I cannot wait to find out.
I don't think we'll have to wait long either.
Yeah.
That comment actually has me intrigued.
Yeah, I know, right? Do you know something, huh? But guys, did you see the previews for next episode?
Yep.
What y'all think is going to happen next? I'm not going to say what
I mean, if you know T, don't spill it. Y'all be doing stuff. I think that we're finally going to get to see what they're offering to Ruby. It's going to focus, very strong on like, what is she going to be able to get? And there was one quote from Christina at the very end of it that like resonated with me. Who are you really uninterrupted? Because I love thinking about stuff like that. Like uninterrupted, who are we really? Like without you know, the rules in society. Like, you can really do whatever you want. Not, you know, when I say do whatever you want in my house, just go eat as much food as you want in the fridge. But like, just completely uninhibited. Like, for real, who are you? And when you introduce magic into storylines, it's really cool because it opens up that bound even more. And it might even corrupt Ruby because she seems to be a woman of good, like, moral foundings, but she's fed up, she's tired, and giving her that much power, it might, you know, I can't wait to see how that's going to mess with the power dynamics of the show.
Yeah, same here. Speaking of
that, the relationship between the sisters, because Letty's kind of in a situation where she's forced, quote unquote, to be in the situation, and Ruby's kind of delving into it out of, I guess, a sense of feeling lost of her life. So she's kind of driven to it for a different reason.
Yeah, I kind of, I'm curious to know how Ruby and Letty's relationship is going to be after everything, especially what it seems like what's going to happen on the next episode. Because obviously Ruby is going to experience some things, but I also feel like William is going to maybe offer Ruby something that she can't refuse, and it's probably going to put her in a bad position.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what that is, but I feel like that's what's going to happen.
I think T.M. Martin seems to know.
Yes.
She knows the tea, for real.
She does. But hold on, she said something else. William told Ruby he can change her life. Yes, he did. I don't know if it was giving her the D or...
That was just phase one. That was phase one.
That was phase one. That was phase one. So I don't know. There's a lot. Is William really Christina and vice versa? That's
what we think.
Yeah, that's what we think. I'm kind of hoping that, but not. And the reason why I'm not is because I really don't want Ruby to feel some type of way if she finds out. But I wanted to because I mean, it's entertaining. I love it. And Christina is very just shady, and she has to do what she got to do to get what she wants. So, yeah.
I think I'm looking forward to whatever it is, a display of magic of some sort, to where it's talked about or explored, or we know that's exactly what happened.
Right.
So just more development, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we shall see, guys. We shall see. That gay comic geek said, I don't watch the previews either. I want to go in fresh. I'm sorry, y'all. I have to. I'm nosy. And 9 times out of 10, I won't remember what I seen in the trailers when I watch it. So, I mean, because my memory is just like that bad. So, it's all good for me, at least. No more to it than just or only getting the Tia Martin's funny. But yeah, guys, that was our episode, Lovecraft Country, episode 4. Overall, this episode, I had a lot of fun. Like I said, it's not my favorite, but it's still a very, very great episode and very informative, and I had a lot of fun watching it. But yeah, how about you guys? Well, you already pretty much said it in the beginning how you guys felt about this episode. So, coming season, what do you guys hope for before we leave? What do you guys hope for? What do you guys hope what do you hope we get by the end of the season?
I need to see the opening sequence play out. However we get there, like, that's all I'm waiting for, is any type of inkling or clue to, like, all right, we're going to go back to this.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to see time travel forward as well.
Okay.
Like, do they have to be stuck to their era and travel backwards, or can they travel forward as well?
Right.
Because then you could go for seasons.
That's true. And being as though this is based off of a novel, if they do this whole novel on just this one season, then maybe if we get more seasons, which I'm pretty sure we will, because the show deserves like a second season and third and fourth. Yeah, you're right. Maybe that may happen. That may happen. T.M. Martin said, "How would we rank all the episodes so far?" Okay, Ryan, what would you rate the episodes so far?
Okay, I would put 3 as my favorite.
Okay.
Right after 3, I would probably say episode 1 because it really did a good job setting the pace for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that episode 3. Sorry. I mean to say 4.
Mm-hmm.
Then episode 4, and then my least favorite was episode 2. But I like them all, so it's not like I'm not throwing shade at episode 2. But if I had to rank them, that would be mine.
That's my exact order.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Mine would be 3, 1. I guess 4, 2. Yeah.
The same.
The same. Like I love episode 2. Don't get me wrong, because that's what kind of got us to where we at now. Obviously, like we got to meet Christina and just all the other stuff. And a lot happened in that one. And one of the reasons why is my least favorite is because Uncle George died. I would think. So, but 3, man. I'm not too sure if I'm being biased because I love horror, but it's not even just that. It's so much more like was in that episode that was just amazing. So yeah. Let's see here. TM Martin says 4, 1, 3, 2 for me. Interesting. Okay, so this is your fave.
Yeah, so they swapped 3 and 4.
Okay, and then JP Reddy said episode 2 seemed boring, but a lot of information was given in that episode. You have to refer back to 2 to understand 4. Yeah, that is true. And when it comes to shows like this, I feel like you're going to have to get those like slow episodes. Even though episode 2, I feel like wasn't that. I mean, it was slow, but like you said, it's very informative, and some stuff still happened in there. Like I'm still curious about how the fuck cows is giving birth to shoggoths. I still want to know why. Like, how is that a thing? And why is that a thing? So I don't know. But yeah, guys, that would conclude this episode. Thanks again for joining me. And thanks to the guys in the comments for joining us and having a conversation with us. This was a lot of fun. Did you guys have fun so far?
Yeah,
always.
Thanks for joining me, guys. I really, really appreciate it. You guys made it a lot easier for me to go through these. It was long. This was like it went over an hour and a half, but I mean, I had fun, so I didn't even realize that it went that long. Oh wait, thank you, gentlemen. You are welcome. You're welcome.
Of course.
Come back next week. We would love it. But yeah, guys, again, thanks again for joining me. And before we go, where can we find you guys? I'll start with you, Grae. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Grae himself. That's Grae himself. Or I guess it's on the screen right now. Kill the Dead podcast. We're on all platforms. Just type in Kill the Dead. You'll find us.
Kill the Dead podcast. Woo, woo.
Woo. Yes, woo. And you can find me on everything social media as at Brother Ghoulish. I have a podcast called Brother Ghoulish's Tomb where I do horror fiction short stories and movie reviews. So you can find that on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and just Brother Ghoulish.
And I love your stories, guys. Check out his stories.
Thank you.
Great. You need to be a screenplay writer, and you need to make your own damn movie, sir.
Yeah, I would agree.
Thanks, y'all, for real.
They're really good. I like it a lot.
I'm loving Morganton County, like for real.
Yes. I can't wait for the next episode. But
y'all don't make me blush, Jesus.
Hey, you give people their props and flowers by they hear, when it's due. It's good. It's good shit. What Grae's doing with Kill the Dead podcast too is amazing. I love it. I had the opportunity to be on there a couple times, and I always have fun with these guys. So yeah. If you guys are willing to come back to talk more Lovecraft, then let me know.
Sure.
Happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day.
Yes. Happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day. Be safe, whatever you guys are doing. Wear a mask, social distance, whatever, and just be careful, whatever you guys are doing out there. I ain't doing shit, so I'm good. So,
Sorry.
all right, guys. Well, I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.